Welcome to M2M Coverage. Suraj Zaveri, Kevin Kim, and Geoffrey Aji as always. Yesterday, we witnessed the latest installment of Luka Magic. If you were unable to catch this Clippers-Mavs game, I am genuinely sorry for you. Luka Doncic hit an amazing step-back buzzer beater to even the series at 2 apiece. This man is incredible, guys. They were down 21. He did not have Porzingis. And frankly, he didn't even have his left ankle, right? And the Mavs still secured the dub. Luka with 43 points, 17 rebounds, and 13 assists. Kevin, I'm going to get to you first on this one. Is Luka Doncic a top 5 player in the NBA?
Absolutely. And just to clarify, I'm talking about players who are actively playing right now. So not including players like Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, who are injured. If we look at the way that Luka Doncic has been playing, he literally has MVP numbers. Yes, the finalists are LeBron, Giannis, and James Harden. But throughout the season, Luka Doncic was in the MVP race. And let's not forget, this is his only second season in the NBA. This is his second season, and he climbed up all the way into the MVP conversation. Now, just looking at the Mavericks as a whole, the Mavericks have the #1 offensive efficiency rating as a team. And you know who runs that offense? Luka Doncic. The offense goes through him. If you look at all these other players, they always have some budding superstar along with them. Luka Doncic, Kristaps Porzingis wasn't even healthy all season, and Kristaps Porzingis, again, is not as good as, say, Anthony Davis to LeBron James, or LeBron James to Anthony Davis, or C.J. McCollum to Damian Lillard, or Russell Westbrook to James Harden. This guy, Luka Doncic, for the majority of the season, basically has the whole load of the offense on his shoulders, and he led this offense to become the #1 efficient offense in the NBA. And if you look at Luka Doncic's individual numbers, right, through the first quarter of this season, he averaged around 31 points per game, 9.9 rebounds, so basically about 10 rebounds per game, and 9.6 assists per game. Again, so basically nearly a 30-point triple-double through 25% of the season until he was hit with an injury. So at this pace, he was on pace to go with a 30-point triple-double averaging throughout the season. Of course, that's not sustainable, but that's just crazy numbers, again, for a guy who's only 21 years old. So I know Geoffrey Aji might bring up the fact that, Luka has not always been this way. Again, like through his rookie season, his numbers were stellar, but maybe not top 5 level. Geoffrey might argue that James Harden, Damian Lillard, Giannis, Kawhi, LeBron are all better. But honestly, I think Luka Doncic is interchangeable with guys like James Harden and Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard, again, is an individual player. I'm not going to take anything away from him, but Luka Doncic, he literally has willed the Mavericks into the playoffs, and he's playing lights out, and he is tied with the league favorite Los Angeles Clippers. Everyone, including Geoffrey, who has said the Clippers are going to win the NBA championship. Luka Doncic has single-handedly brought that series to a 2-2 tie.
There's not much to argue with there. Geoffrey's shaking his head while you were saying that. I will note that Doncic is a candidate for most improved player. So even if he's not in the top 3 for MVP this year, I can see him as MVP next year, following year, very soon, if not this year. And the fact that he is confirmed top 3 for most improved player just is a testament to how well he has carried this Mavs team. Geoffrey, I want you to respond, and then I'll follow up with Kevin because I also have some disagreements there.
Luka's a phenomenal player. He's been playing great. He might be one of the best players, maybe as soon as next year. But to say that he's a top 5 player in the NBA right now is just ridiculous, because for me, the top 5 players, without doubt, are Kawhi, LeBron, Giannis, Harden, and Damian Lillard. And Kevin said that, the Mavericks run through Luka offensively, but, they have Kristaps Porzingis, who has been averaging like about 30 points a game during the bubble. And, Luka's been great throughout the playoff series, but he also had to account for his injury that happened before the bubble. And because of that, I don't see him being better than someone like Damian Lillard, who's been amazing. He's been averaging, 35 points a game, and he's basically carried the Blazers to the playoffs. Or even James Harden, who people are underrating like usual. He's been one of the best players in the bubble. He's been averaging 35 points, almost 7 assists a game. And I think Damian Lillard and James Harden are still better than Luka.
Okay, Kevin. So Geoffrey mentioned some players. I wanted to ask who your top five are. Where exactly is Luka in your top five?
Probably at the five. I have Giannis, LeBron, Kawhi, Dame, and Luka. Obviously I was debating whether I should put it Harden or Dame. But just based off of current play and the way that Dame has just taken over the NBA at this point, that's why I gave the edge to Dame. But honestly, I feel like Luka, Dame, and Harden, they're really interchangeable. But just the way that Luka has been playing at his age, with not the supporting cast that other players have, that's why I give Luka that top five edge.
Okay,
And I also wanted to just bring up a point that Geoffrey brought up, right? Geoffrey, you said that Kristaps has been playing very well. But again, like I'm going to bring up the fact that Dame has CJ McCollum, who is an all-star player, who's a phenomenal player. LeBron's got AD. AD's got LeBron. Kawhi's got Paul George, and he got Lou Will, Montrezl Harrell, and a great supporting cast with a great coach, right? I mean, I'm not going to say the Mavericks have a bad coach or a bad team, but all these players have way better supporting cast and coaching than Luka Doncic. So just to bring up Kristaps Porzingis is kind of counterintuitive because that same argument can be used against all the other players you place ahead of Luka Doncic.
First of all, my argument was that you say that Luka has a horrible cast compared to these players, but I really don't think so. He has Seth Curry, Alec Burks. He has obviously Porzingis. He has Tim Hardaway Jr., who are playing pretty good so far. So I don't think his cast being bad would put him over any of these players. And then as for James Harden, Russell Westbrook has been playing in the bubble, and he's been phenomenal. I remember when we put out our predictions, a lot of people were arguing with us. They were saying that the Thunder can beat the Rockets easily. And look what's happening. The Rockets have a 2-1 lead over the Thunder. And, some of them have been blowout games. The Rockets have been completely destroying the Thunder. So I don't think James Harden is lower than Luka in rankings.
It's 2-2 now. Rockets Thunder is 2-2.
Never mind. I mean, still.
Okay.
But yeah. So this really comes down to, you said Kevin said Dame, Luka, and Harden are interchangeable. So for me, I have Luka like 6, and maybe like Dame, you can argue. For me, I have Harden ahead of Luka as a hard yes, because of the fact that James Harden, if basically I'm asking myself the question, who would I want right now? I'd want James Harden. And I think James Harden is just very underrated, and he does the same things Luka does. If you watch the Rockets play, they both have similar play styles in that they drive in and kick out to their shooters. And I think James Harden has just shown more consistency. Obviously, he's been in the league a little longer, but I'd take James Harden right now in the playoffs just because of that experience and because of that beard, I guess.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, I understand the argument for James Harden. Don't get me wrong. I'm not underrating James Harden. James Harden has been consistently in the MVP race for multiple seasons. This guy shoots. I mean, he always finds a way to drop 30, 40 a night. And, James Harden, he can be inconsistent at times too. Yes, his 3-point, one night he might be super off on 3-pointers, but he still somehow finds a way to get points by going to the free throw line, and that's something to be respectable. Being able to get to that free throw line is respectable. But if you look at Luka Doncic, right? Luka Doncic himself isn't the best 3-point shooter, and actually I would argue Luka's probably better on contested shots than just spot up open threes. But that's what you need. Can you name any player that can hit the shot that Luka played yesterday besides Dame? I don't think AD can hit that. I don't think LeBron could hit that. Not Giannis, that's for sure. I mean, maybe Kawhi. I mean, we saw a similar shot against the 76ers last year, but I mean that's like a 1 in 1,000 type shot that I would argue that other players cannot make. And Luka Doncic just brings a clutch factor. I mean, I would argue that some of these players are also clutch, but Luka Doncic, his clutch factor is probably second or third behind Dame. I mean, that's my argument. Luka Doncic, I mean, he has so much room to grow. All the other players that we're talking about, they've already had many years to develop. Luka Doncic, he still has room to grow, and that should be scary for the rest of the league.
Yeah, another point to, I guess, support your argument is people are saying the Clippers aren't playing defense right now. I actually disagree. I think the Clippers are playing good defense, and you're seeing the effort from the Clippers. I just think the Mavs and Luka specifically are that good at overcoming that defense. It's Porzingis and Luka who are actually just shooting out of their minds. The entire Mavericks team, by the way, this is such a great series, and Luka is making it so much fun to watch. And I think who was it that said invest in a step back? I think that's a really good point in that the step back is a very low percentage shot, but if you can hit it in those situations where it's unguardable.
Yeah, and also one other thing I wanted to mention. So Geoffrey brought up the fact that the Mavericks don't have a terrible supporting cast. I wasn't saying the Mavericks have a terrible supporting cast, but the majority of players around Luka, they're basically just role players. They're rotational players. And also, if you look at the Mavericks team as a whole, I don't think any starter is over the age of 30. I mean, Boban is over 30, but he's not really a starter. He's like a rotational player. So the whole team is so young, and the way that they're playing, everyone was talking about the Clippers, Lakers. Like, I'm just surprised at the way the Mavericks are playing this series. I mean, I thought it was going to be Clippers in 6 and might still be Clippers in 6. But just the way that the intensity that they bring and the fact that they don't care about all the talk around the Clippers and how the Clippers are better than everyone else, that just blew me away. And Tim Hardaway Jr., he's been good in the bubble, but if you talk about the season in general, he's been very inconsistent. And if you look at Seth Curry, again, he's a role player. He can't give you 20 a night. Kristaps Porzingis, he's been inconsistent relative to health, and also he's been a liability on defense. So the fact that Luka has to will his way into every single game, that's just something that's an intangible that I would love to have on my team.
Another name out there. Yeah, another name I just wanted to mention. Donovan Mitchell isn't being talked about in this conversation, but I think he deserves some mention. I think he could be interchangeable in the people that you mentioned, given right now, given the amount of points he's scoring, and he's single-handedly doing it as well. So that's another thing to consider.
Well, with Donovan Mitchell, I would argue he is great. He is great. Like dropping 57 and 51, that's just actually crazy. But I mean, I would argue again, like Rudy Gobert, he still has Rudy Gobert. So I wouldn't say he's single-handedly doing it. Like the fact that you have a guy down low who can really garner the respect of defenses so that they don't just crowd the three-point line or double Donovan Mitchell, that's a huge plus. And also, the fact that they're playing Denver Nuggets right now, and the Nuggets just seem to not catch on to the type of offense that the Jazz are running. Jazz are running simple pick and roll, kicking it out to the three-point line. They're running a simple offense, and Denver Nuggets just cannot adjust, which is kind of weird. And if you look at who Luka's playing, he's playing against the Clippers, who's highly touted as one of the best defensive teams in the NBA. I'm not going to take away from Donovan Mitchell, though. I think the bubble by itself, Donovan Mitchell is definitely a top player.
And Geoffrey, any response? Or I guess Dame. Yeah.
I mean, Kevin said that, Porzingis is a liability on defense, and I would say that, Luka isn't the greatest defender either. And I mean, the whole thing is that I just wouldn't put Luka over James Harden or Dame. They have been veterans. They have just, Dame's hit some of the most clutch shots I've ever seen. As for James Harden, he's been putting up 35 numbers. And like Luka Doncic, Westbrook is injured, and the rest of his players are a bunch of role players. So I wouldn't say that James Harden is, has a bunch of players on his side either. So I wouldn't put Luka Doncic over Harden or Damian Lillard.
And is there a little bit of recency bias in this? Because we saw Dame, and like right after Dame put up those 50, 60-point games, I was very high on Dame. And then like one injury and one not great game, the Lakers are looking in control of the series right now. So now I'm like slightly lower on Dame, and now Luka makes a step back, and everyone's so high on Luka. The Luka hype is at an all-time high. So I guess, do we need to take a step back from this and look at just the entire seeding game bubble play? And then I guess moving forward, if we're talking about how good the players are right now.
Well, I think, just the type of, whenever we do rankings, there's always going to be recency bias in play. But when we're talking about just the season in general, I mean, that's just recent. So, I mean, recency bias can be allowed to be a factor. I mean, I think everyone in the world kind of was blown away by the way Dame was playing the bubble by saying that he was the best player in the world. And then, of course, now he's kind of cooling off because the Lakers defense is stepping up. And that, I mean, I think that actually segues into a great question I have for Geoffrey. Like, yes, I had Dame in my top 5 too, but like, what can you seriously say that makes Dame and Harden better than Luka, other than the fact that they're just veterans, or maybe that Dame makes clutch shots? Because Luka can hit clutch shots too. We saw that yesterday.
I'd say one thing. Dame's shooting percentage from 3 is higher. Dame's like more consistent of a shooter than Luka is, I guess. And like Dame, you said clutch shots. I also think Dame has that ability to finish better than Luka does. Even though Luka has a better body, Dame at the rim, I think Dame finishes more consistently than Luka. As well as just like free throws. Like Luka misses free throws. He still has some work to do as a young player, and that's why I give Dame the edge.
Actually, I would agree that Luka's finishing in the paint was kind of one of his flaws early on, but he's actually vastly improved in that area. And also, you're saying that Dame, scores more points and is a better shooter. Well, Luka and Dame actually shoot from the same percentage from the field. Yes, Dame's three-pointer is better, and his range is most definitely better. I think his range is the best along with Steph Curry. But Luka averages more rebounds and more assists. So, like, those are also, like, huge factors of a game, the way that Luka facilitates the game, and also the way that Luka gets the ball back to give his team another chance on offense. I mean, yeah, Dame scores more, but when Luka's doing better in rebounds and assists, I would say that more than cancels out.